Hello and welcome to another Tips for Engineers screencast. I'm Jeremy Rigneris, Product Introduction Manager at SolidWorks. In this screencast, we will take a look at my 5 favorite free engineering tools. As engineers, we use a lot of tools every day that require a significant investment of time and money. However, there are several tools available online that have zero cost and are easy to use that any engineer can benefit from. I've used a lot of these tools over the past several years, and I want to share my 5 favorites. Starting in at the number 1 spot is definitely eDrawings, a collaboration tool that allows you to view and share both 3D and 2D files with anybody. At number 2 is DraftSite for working with your legacy 2D data. You can use DraftSite to view, modify, and maintain those older 2D files at zero cost. The third tool is called ColorCop, and it allows you to ensure that your designs not only look great, but match any company's specific color standards. Number 4, Custom Part Net, isn't actually software, but rather a website that has tons of engineering reference material for virtually any manufacturing process. And finally, number 5, CCleaner, really helps to keep your computer running at peak efficiency. It's a great tool for clearing out unnecessary clutter from your computer. Finally, I'll share a few other tools that didn't quite make the top 5 list, but are definitely valuable and worth investigating as well. The first free tool to look at is eDrawings, a great collaboration tool for 3D and 2D files, which can be found at www.edrawingsviewer.com. On the website, you'll see there are free viewers for both PC and Mac, meaning anyone can use it at no cost. Additionally, there are publishers available for nearly every CAD system available, meaning any engineer can publish and collaborate. Finally, though not free, there are also mobile apps available at a low cost for both iOS and Android devices on the respective marketplaces. Once you install eDrawings, you can immediately start to use it to open published eDrawings. But even better, you can open native SolidWorks files as well as DWG in a variety of other formats without the need for them to be published. For example, here's a directory with native SolidWorks parts, assemblies, and drawings. We're going to take a look at how one of these works. The first thing you'll notice is you're working with the 3D models, which means right away you have access to view the model from any angle using familiar tools like zoom, pan, and rotate. But if you would like to interrogate the model further, it's as simple as selecting a few parts and right-clicking to hide them. eDrawings even gives you access to the entire assembly tree for this assembly and provides a filter tool where as you type, it narrows down the list of components, allowing you to find specific parts. If you want to focus on a part, just choose to hide the others. At any time, you can press the Home button to return to the initial view when you open the file. You can use the Move button to move any components around wherever you want, to either move them out of the way or just get a better look at them. The on-screen triad makes it easy to position the parts wherever you want to. Sometimes, however, you need to really get inside of a design to understand how it works, or see how parts interface with each other. This is where the section view comes in. When activated, it allows you to make quick sections along any of the standard planes, or you can customize it to your liking. And although measurement is part of eDrawings Professional, the paid version of the tool, it's worth taking a look at. Simply select any entities you would like to know the distance between, and eDrawings presents you with all the relative values. You can move them around to get a better view and determine if the assembly is the right size. More importantly, though, is the ability to collaborate, and eDrawings provides a host of tools to mark up the model. For example, you could add a markup dimension from the back face to the front face of this ball valve to determine if it is in fact the correct width. Each markup you add is saved with the eDrawing, and you can continue to look at other areas of the design, adding more. For instance, you might want to verify that both of the end faces of this ball valve are machined to ensure a proper seal. This can be simply added with a leader-style markup. Just select the geometry and place the note. All you have to do is ask the right question. Once you've added all your markups, you might want to send the eDrawing off to the original creator to review your comments. eDrawings can be sent in a variety of formats, from native eDrawings files to self-extracting executables that will run regardless if the recipient has the eDrawing viewer installed. Once you send the email off, the recipient will see each of your markups you added. In fact, when they select each of them, it will set the orientation of the model to be exactly what you were looking at when you created it. The recipient can then add any additional comments to each scenario. In either case, the e-drawing can be used to verify the design, check it for changes, or just simply collaborate between multiple people. I also mentioned you could download a free publisher for a variety of CAD systems. When publishing from your CAD system of choice, you add an even richer experience for the end user of your e-drawing. A drawing can oftentimes be complicated for non-engineers to understand. This is where e-drawings really shines. Like before, you can zoom and pan around what looks to be a traditional 2D drawing. But click on any view and choose the rotate icon from the toolbar, and the design really comes to life, allowing anyone to quickly understand the design in full 3D. Like before, at any time you can return to the home view if you want to look at the entire drawing. Another tool that's extremely useful for non-engineers is the pointer tool. As you drag it around, it moves the pointer relative in every view on the drawing. This makes it easy to find things, such as a hex cap screw. If dimensions or other drawing items are getting in your way, you can toggle the visibility of any of the layers in the drawing as well, ensuring you can focus on what's important to you. Section views can often be unfamiliar to people who don't look at engineering drawings on a regular basis. E-drawings makes it easy to understand how they all relate to each other. Simply double-click on any view and e-drawings will zoom into that view. And if there's a section view, simply select the cutting line and e-drawing navigates to the appropriate section. You can continue to do this for each section, and it also works for detail views, making them much easier to understand. If you want to navigate back, simply select the view label to return to the view it came from. The best part though is, like the exploded view, you can simply press the rotate button and the section is in full 3D, making it very clear and easy to understand for anyone. One last item regarding e-drawings is if you use any simulation products in SOLIDWORKS, you can save those results as an e-drawing to clearly relate that information just as easily as the examples we've already shown. All of the results for a flow analysis, for example, can simply be toggled on to show them in 3D with the rest of the model, making the results available to anyone. This includes, but is not limited to, things such as cut plots and flow trajectories. And using the same section view tool you've already seen, you can easily cut away the model to get a better view of the flow through this ball valve to get a better understanding of it. E-drawings has been around for a long time, and it's always been at the top of my favorite free tools list. I'm sure you'll get as much use out of it as I do. The second tool to look at is DraftSight. Unlike e-drawings, which is a viewer, DraftSight allows you to completely edit and work with your legacy 2D files. The easiest way to find it is to type www.draftsight.com, though it will redirect you to a longer URL shown here as well. Once on the DraftSight webpage, simply choose the large download link from the right-hand side of the page. You'll then be presented with several options for downloading on any system you can imagine, including Windows 64 and 32-bit, Mac, and Linux. Once installed, you'll have to register, but that's all that's required. Once installed and in DraftSight, you can open native 2D files, including both DWG and DXF. DraftSight works much like any standard 2D software. You have full control over your layers and can turn them off and on freely and quickly switch from one active layer to another. Any tool you can imagine is available on the toolbars, which can be customized to your liking. Familiar object snaps are also there automatically, and you can even invoke custom object snaps from the right mouse menu. In this case, a new section view was needed for an old drawing, and all of the construction lines have been created. Using DraftSight's trim tool, it's pretty straightforward to get to work cleaning this new view up. You select using traditional box select methods and can use these for selecting the items to trim also. You might also notice there's no need to repeatedly press the trim button, as the standard spacebar and enter key to repeat are honored in DraftSight. Furthermore, at the bottom of the screen is the command line, which allows you to type any familiar command name to access it quickly, including full entity names and aliases. As this profile is wrapping up, it's necessary to project a few more lines for the through holes and then perform a few final trims. All of this geometry was created on the active construction layer, but changing the layer is quick from a list of properties available for all the selected items on the left-hand side of the screen. You can also add as many layers as needed from the Layer dialog box. Just press New, give it a name, and even set it as the active layer at the same time. Then just make any required changes, such as the color in this case. Now, every section view needs cross-hatching, and the hatching dialog box inside a draft site is easy to use. Just select the regions you want to apply the hatch to, and then confirm. Then you can change any of the properties, such as the hatch scale, which could be slightly smaller in this case, and press OK, and the hatch is added to all of the regions. Finally, to add dimensions, you can use a variety of dimension tools, from radial, diameter, and in this case, linear. Select the entities to dimension, then place the dimension where you want. The tool can be used not only for horizontal dimensions, but vertical dimensions as well. As you place dimensions, you might come across instances where you want to change what edges are being referenced. This is quickly modified in the draft site using the grips found at the ends of each leader. Just drag the grip from its original location to its new one and the dimension updates correctly. DraftSite is a great tool for those organizations that still have a lot of legacy 2D data and are required to bear the burden of expensive subscriptions just to maintain them. It's fully capable of managing your files and even offers a premium version to support custom APIs to further leverage older tools. The third free tool, ColorCop, is a great tool for making your designs match company color specifications by being able to extract color information from digital media. It can be found at colorcop.net. It's quick and easy to download as it's a fairly small application, but it's recommended to check back occasionally as it's frequently updated. Once installed, it's extremely easy to use. In this case, you might want to make the color of a specific part in a SOLIDWORKS design to match your company's or a client's color specification. SOLIDWORKS has a large range of appearances available out of the box, but they might not match the RGB values of a color you specifically need, and this is where ColorCop comes in. In this case, a PDF was provided that contains SOLIDWORKS specific branding colors. The goal here is to match the color red exactly. To find a specific color, just drag and drop the dropper from ColorCop onto any region on your screen. ColorCop then extracts the color at that exact point, but also shows the surrounding pixels as well, allowing you to further refine your selection. You can do this repeatedly, and each color is added to a recent list. But the most important part of the tool is it provides two values, the hexadecimal value and the RGB values for the selected color. Once you have the right color, you can return to SOLIDWORKS and use this information in the Appearances Property Manager. All that you need to do is copy the values from ColorCop into the respective red, green, and blue values there, and that easily you've ensured that your appearances in your design match your company or client's color schemes. In SOLIDWORKS, you can then use those appearances in PhotoView 360, for instance, to create renderings of your designs rather quickly. If you don't have PhotoView 360, you can still create great images using screenshots in SOLIDWORKS' RealView. Here are just a few examples of some renderings created of this design. To further complement this, you can use another free tool, Cooler from Adobe, to develop color schemes, which will be mentioned at the end of this presentation. ColorCop is a great free tool that allows you to quickly match colors from any digital media and reuse it in your designs and in any other software for that matter that uses hexadecimal and RGB values. The fourth free tool we'll look at, CustomPart.net, is not actually software you download and install, but a website full of resources valuable to any engineer looking for more information on virtually any manufacturing process. The web page name can be a bit deceiving with net in its name, as it's actually custompartnet.com. Once you navigate to the website, there's a lot of information and tools available to explore. We'll cover just a few. The first set of resources you'll most likely encounter is information on many different manufacturing processes. If you want to get a better understanding of, say, sand casting, for instance, the website discusses the manufacturing process as well as ideal parts that could benefit from the manufacturing process. If you design sheet metal parts, the forming section explains in great detail the process of bending materials and how values typically used in CAD software are calculated, such as K-factor. There's even a sheet metal gauge table listing all the standard sheet thicknesses. In SOLIDWORKS, these can be simply copy and pasted into a gauge table and used indefinitely. If you need to drill holes on your parts, like the one we're going to look at shortly, hole making provides lots of information on the different steps involved for the many different hole types you might incorporate into your designs. And like the gauge table, there's a tap size chart that contains all the pre-drill and tap information for any tapped hole you could imagine. Custom Part Net is more than an encyclopedia of manufacturing information, however, and there are several other areas of the site, including widgets. These tools are all web-based calculators for common tasks related to manufacturing, such as determining labor costs on a project, total production time, and simple tools for things such as calculating volume and weight. There are far too many to cover here, as it's important to look at one of the really powerful features on this site. The estimators are all tools to aid you in calculating the manufacturing cost of your parts. They're available for several manufacturing processes from injection molding to machining. Specifically, you can calculate the cost based on the features in your part. We happen to have a very simple example in SOLIDWORKS with 4 counterbore holes and a pocket, and require a total of 5 of these parts to be machined. The first step we need to do is provide a quantity of 5. You could further provide the expected defect rate and run quantity, but in this case there will only be one run with the expectation that no defects will happen. The next step is to select the material. This is important for 2 reasons. The cost of the material and the machine times are affected significantly by different materials. You'll notice as you select the different materials you get dynamic feedback regarding the cost and weight. Finally, select the workpiece type you will create the parts from. There are several choices, but a flat sheet makes the most sense in this case. Simply fill in the stock size of your part, and from there, the tool fills in several fields for you with information such as the margin around the parts and the space between them. The defaults are fine for this example. Now to the tricky part, defining the actual manufacturing operations. To start, you'll need to specify a setup time. In this case, it'll be 15 minutes. If we take a look at the original print, we can see that we have 4 counterbore holes in the pocket to machine. The dimensions from this print will be used as a reference. The first thing needed will be some simple drilled holes. For that, you need to select the drill diameter, then specify that they're through holes. But you still need to add the part thickness. Finally, the number of holes, 4 in this case. Once you press calculate, the page is updated with lots of information regarding the process. One nice aspect of this is you can click on any of the outputs to get more information about what it means in a small pop-up. Continuing on, next, the counterbores will need to be added to the holes. For this, you need to select the correct counterbore size, not the fastener size. Then, provide the drill diameter, the counterbore depth, and finally the quantity. Again, pressing calculate will update the cost of your part with these new counterbores. Finally, the pocket. For simplicity, the fillet at the bottom will be ignored. This way, an end mill operation will work just fine. Then, simply make sure you specify the diameter of the end mill, not the radius. All that's left is to enter the pocket size, in this case 2 by 1 1/4 inches. You'll have to specify the depth of the pocket as well, and one unique value, the cutter step over. Once all of this is done, you can press calculate one final time. You're presented with a cost at the bottom of the page. It not only includes the cost of the entire run of 5 parts, but the cost of each part as well. This is a great way to get a general idea of the cost of your parts before you actually manufacture them. But as you saw, this process can be a bit time consuming, especially if you had a significantly more complicated part. For that reason, SOLIDWORKS Professional comes with a powerful automated costing solution. All you have to literally do is press a button, and SOLIDWORKS will quickly determine the cost of your parts based on templates that you can fully customize to your company's and your supplier's costs. In either case, you can override values such as the materials cost, always getting real-time feedback at the bottom of the screen on how the changes affect the cost of your part. You can also drag the stock size if you want to mill the sides or if stock sizes are limited. And just like Custom Part Net, you can specify the run quantities. And the really great part of SOLIDWORKS costing is that it explains in detail where all your costs are coming from in the Property Manager. It lists each feature in the part automatically and correlating it to its particular manufacturing operation and associated costs. The last part was a little bit about SOLIDWORKS costing, but everything before that was about Custom Part Net, a great free resource that any engineer can benefit from visiting and just exploring the site. The fifth and final tool to look at is CCleaner. It's not really a tool specifically for engineers like the others you've seen, but it definitely helps keep your workstation running at peak performance. CCleaner can be downloaded for free at www.puriform.com/CCleaner. Once on the web page, simply choose the large download link. It will give you a choice of one of two download locations, though you might prefer to download directly from Puriform. Once installed, CCleaner is a fairly straightforward to use tool. Its primary purpose is to eliminate all of the excess clutter that builds up over time on your workstation. Clicking Analyze, CCleaner gets to work locating things such as temporary internet files, browser history, unnecessary cookies, and your computer's temp folders. All these things are created automatically over time by just using your computer in its day-to-day usage. Once analyzed, you can see that in this case it's found over 10,000 megabytes of excess data, or garbage. All that's left is to press the Run Cleaner button and let it get rid of all that junk. It might take a few moments depending on the severity of your machine. The thing to note, the longer it runs, the more it's cleaning. This is a great process to run regularly if you experience performance problems on your workstation. Once it's finished, you can look at some of the other valuable tools available in CCleaner. For instance, the Registry Cleaner is great for machines that frequently see software installed, upgraded, and uninstalled on a regular basis, such as this one. Like before, start with a scan to get an idea of the expected results first. And also like before, this could take some time depending on how bad of shape your registry is in. Once it's finished scanning, you can choose the Fix Selected Issues button. CCleaner gives you an opportunity to save your current registry settings first, which is always a good idea in case something doesn't act properly afterwards. Then you can always restore it. Then go ahead and choose Fix All Selected Issues from the dialog box. This could take a while, but CCleaner is removing all of the unused or broken references in your registry, which can oftentimes lead to poor performance. One interesting note is that as you remove many of the references from your registry, you'll most likely generate more orphan or broken references. It's always a good idea to run CCleaner's Registry Cleaner a couple of times. The only difference is there's no need to save a copy of the registry settings, as that was done preceding the first pass. There are a few other tools to make note of here found under the Tools section. The Uninstall tool found in CCleaner is great for getting rid of those applications that you always seem to struggle with completely removing from your system or that continually show up in your computer's Add Remove programs. It does a full in-depth removal of any software. And finally, there's the Drive Wiper. If you're worried about proprietary or sensitive information being left on your computer's hard drive. This might be important if you're upgrading your machine and someone else without the proper clearances will be receiving your old one. It does a full multi-pass wipe where it actually overwrites any data on your hard drive as opposed to simply deleting it. CCleaner is a great tool to make sure your workstation is always performing well. There's also several other tools available for free from Puriform on their website that are just as useful but just didn't make the top 5 list. And finally, I want to take a look at some additional tools that didn't quite make the top 5 list, but are great tools nonetheless. The first 3 come from the same company that brought you CCleaner, Puriform. The first one is Speccy, which can be found at puriform.com/Speccy. All the information that you could imagine regarding your workstation, including the model numbers and specs for all your hardware, is available in one place with this tool. And it also provides performance feedback such as CPU temperature, RAM timings, and others. The next tool from Puriform, Recover, can be found at puriform.com/Recover. This tool can scan and recover deleted files from your computer even after you've emptied your recycle bin. If you remember when we discussed CCleaner, it does a multi-pass wipe. Well, data is actually not deleted until you overwrite it. So unless you run CCleaner, there's a chance you could still recover some deleted information using this easy to navigate tool. The next tool, Defraggler, which can be found at puriform.com/defraggler, is a defragging tool. Not something you hear about so much more in the advent of Windows 7 and Windows 8, but there are still chances you could increase the performance of your machine by running a quick defragmentation on the hard drive. This tool does that very quickly. Next, engineeringtoolbox.com is another online resource similar to Custom Part Net, containing loads of engineering information, including engineering calculations, standards information, and things like structural profiles. KeePass is a great application for people who have loads of passwords they need to remember. For example, Windows network logins, email accounts, website FTP passwords, online forum passwords. These can all be saved in one convenient place with KeePass, making them accessible all in one location. FreeMind is a great tool when you're planning a new project and you want to do some mind mapping. Mind mapping is a way to get ideas out there and record it quickly, and it's great for brainstorming. And finally, Cooler from Adobe, mentioned during the ColorCop presentation. Cooler is a tool that uses color theory to help you develop color combinations that make your designs more appealing. And similar to ColorCop, you can use the RGB and hexadecimal values generated there directly inside of your CAD application. Well, that's all we have for my 5 favorite tools. I hope you get as much use out of them as I have over the past several years. My name's Jeremy Rigneris, and thank you for watching.